Where's Johnny?
He's probably in the bathroom. I'll go get him.
Oh, hey, George!
Hey. What are you doing?
I heard you were making a review on Song of the Deep, and I just want to get a head start on the intro.
Huh. What's the intro?
Okay, so I'm putting my head underwater and singing a song. Get it? Song of the Deep, song underwater, like this. See?
Did you film it already?
Yeah?
Oh. Okay, well, thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome!
Some of you may know that I worked at GameStop for a few months, which was an absolute blast. Shortly before I moved back to Canada though, it was announced that GameStop would publish their very first video game under the brand of GameTrust. I wasn't so excited until I learned that it was being developed by one of my favorite video game developers, Insomniac Games. Made by a small 15-person team, we have just received a passionate little game called Son of the Deep, a simple Metroidvania adventure that caters to all age groups. While it may not match the quality of some of the developers' more recent titles, Son of the Deep is an intimate, soothing adventure. It's a type of game I didn't realize the industry needed, as it's an adventure that can open the gates for many people to be introduced to the wonderful world of gaming. Marin, a 12-year-old girl, stays up late at night every day, awaiting for her father to return from sea. The two are best friends, and even during the worst of times, they pull through everything that comes their way. But one day, Marin's dad didn't return. So what does every typical 12-year-old do when their father's missing? They build a makeshift working submarine in under 24 hours. Duh, what else? You then take control as Marin to explore the depths of the seas to see where your father may be, and along the way, you may discover that some of the seemingly make-believe tales that your father told you before bedtime might not be so fake after all. Similar to The Unfinished Swan, Son of the Deep is a simple tale that is applicable for all ages. However, it doesn't resonate with me as much as I would have liked it to. Looking at the overall picture, the game's plot is fairly predictable, which is expected for a story such as this. But without spoiling anything, there were many moments Insomniac could have made so touchingly emotional for the players, but instead, I sat there staring at the screen questioning whether I'm supposed to care about what just happened. Besides those specific moments though, the game's storytelling and visual presentation is well done. There's the beautiful Irish voice of Siobhan Hewlett, I totally got that wrong, narrating the entire adventure for you. Not only does the script and her voice tell the story in a simple way, but when you're exploring and discover something you haven't seen before, she swoops right in and narrates about the object or person you just discovered in a way that is much more insightful than it is forceful. The visuals are striking for both the simple and effective art shown in the cutscenes, as well as the actual game itself. But even considering how many portions of the game aren't full of life, the game always seems to be in motion. With all the moving plant life, sunken ships that take up the background, and just the amount of pretty colors that litter the screen, besides when you're visiting familiar areas multiple times, the game is beautiful to look at. The music, composed by Jonathan Wandagla, there's another name I just butchered, is emotional for the majority of the game, other than when you keep hearing the same songs on repeat, and believe me, that's gonna happen a lot. Overall, Son of the Deep's presentation is enjoyable for all ages. Son of the Deep is a simple Metroidvania adventure that is perfect for beginning-level gamers of any age. If you've played many Metroidvania games before, then you already know how Son of the Deep is played. You explore a semi-open world with multiple parts of the world that are blocked off. In order to gain entry, you need to come back at a later time when you've acquired the necessary weapon or piece of equipment. Along the way, you'll solve puzzles, occasionally fight the evil sea life, discover many secrets, and constantly find yourself re-exploring the same bland areas over and over again. There are less than a handful of games that have proper underwater controls, and for a game that takes place entirely underwater, I need to have at least a decent amount of control of the submarine. So I'm pleased to say that moving around underwater in this game feels very good. It isn't a twin-stick shooter, which means you'll only be using the left analog stick to move around and aim. Having said that, I felt like I had high control over my ship. There are many narrow passages and walls to bump into, so it's nice that there's no health penalty for hitting walls. Whether you're gliding through areas at high speed, carefully moving through small environments, or even when you exit your ship, controlling your movement does feel like a smooth, polished experience. which is why it sucks that the rest of the gameplay is tedious, time-consuming, and uninspired. There are many environmental puzzles you need to solve, usually simple tasks like putting a magical statue together or redirecting beams of light. But while these puzzles are pretty easy, they're slow-paced and become frustrating to solve at times. Dragging objects with your hook becomes a hassle when you accidentally fling the item you're holding and it gets stuck in places you can't see. And those aforementioned light puzzles are so unnecessarily long that I took a break from the game halfway through this part simply because I was sick of it. But the absolute worst gameplay scenario, and I mean the absolute worst, is moving a bomb through crowded obstacles. Worst thing ever. Period. Done. The worst thing ever. There were countless moments throughout the game where I didn't feel like I had much obligation to get through these parts so I could finish the game, other than to figure out what happened to my father, as well as see what other parts of the world I could discover. If only there were more interesting elements to the overall story, as well as the gameplay not being so mundane and uninspired. There are some simple combat segments to mix up the gameplay, and just like the puzzles, while they are easy, it's a hassle. You start off with a simple hook you can use to poke at enemies until they explode, and later on you can simply shoot rockets at them and eventually acquire different types of projectiles. Luckily, the game helps you out by having your projectiles automatically lock in your enemy as long as you're pointing in the right direction. But combat gets annoying after a while. Because you're aiming and maneuvering with the same analog stick, bumping into enemies is fairly common. There also isn't much variety to the combat, which gets old very quickly. At least there are a few scenarios and specific boss battles that become very interesting. For both the pacing of its story as well as the gameplay, Shaun of the Deep does overstay its welcome by taking around 6 hours to complete. Replay value consists of finding all the optional pieces of equipment you can acquire, discovering the plethora of little secrets, upgrading ship to the max, oh, by the way there is a skill tree, and optionally playing the game at a hard difficulty if you ever felt like it. Shaun of the Deep is definitely catered towards gamers who haven't played many Metroidvania games, as well as new gamers of all ages. It's a charming game with an endearing main character, an accessible story, and an underwater world full of mystery and beauty. The game makes it easy for beginners to understand simple RPG mechanics, how exploration works, and simply how the majority of video games work in general. But to everyone else, it can become an absolute slog at times. If you have a friend, parent, spouse, or young friend or family member that you want to get into gaming, or at least understand your passion for the medium in general, for $15, Shaun of the Deep is a great experience for them, and it's a journey you could accompany them on. For everyone else though, while there are moments of frustration and repetition, it can also be a soothing, innocent experience. Shaun of the Deep receives a 7.25 out of 10. So that's what I think of Shaun of the Deep. If you've played the game already and want to let me know what you think of it, or if you have any questions about the game that I didn't answer, simply write them up in the comments below. For more videos about anything gaming, as well as to be part of a pretty badass community full of passionate people, keep it here on Bathroom Gamers. Thank you for watching, and stay fresh.
Sorry, you gotta give me some. Ask me the question.
Where's Johnny? Where he goes?